Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Board of Selectmen meeting. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast via our local cable access channel, WCAT, on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in the audience is recording, please let us know. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I see familiar faces here today. Very good. Do we have an agenda for this?
Do we know
or
if
just
we
them?
unlocked the door?
I don't think we did.
Yeah, because I thought I heard Ray trying to pull. Sorry.
That's okay.
This is the kickoff meeting with Weston and Sampson for a redesign of the town common and also with CMRPC.
Awesome.
So I think it was posted a little differently tonight than what it would typically be posted. So Mr. Ihawker is running a little late tonight, so he'll probably join us in a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm leaving early, so it's like
All right.
it gets busy this time of the year. Anyway, do you want to get started? Yeah.
Yeah, we're also, I would ask CMRPC to do their presentation.
All right, hi folks, I think most of you know me, my name's Christopher Dunphy, still part-time with the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, and I'll be turning over the reins for a lot of the work I've done in the past to my friends John O'Leary and Shannon Sullivan over here. They're planners with CMRPC as well. So as I did write the grant application that did get funded, the Town Common Improvement Project, I'm just gonna start us off with a little kickoff here to get us all on the same page, okay? So, back in, what was it, is this March, when did we write that last grant? March? Okay, so we wrote the grant last March, this past March, and we realized the grant was funded in the summer, and then we finished all the administrative clearances, and we got around to hiring a consulting firm, Weston and Sampson Consulting Engineers, and tonight we're gonna have Farah that's gonna talk a little bit about this proposed design project. So as Dave was hinting at earlier, it was kind of intended to be less formal and more of a committee-type setting around a circle and whatnot, but it was posted as a formal Board of Selectmen hearing, so that's why we're here, and that's why we have two Boards of Selectmen in attendance to help sort of as kickoff meeting, if you will. So let's see, where can I go with this? One thing I'd like to mention is the Community Development Block Grant Program is a federal program. Okay, it starts with HUD and the federal government, and for the purpose of Warren, the funds move through the state, and then towns like Warren compete for these funds annually through a competitive application process. Now, when I wrote the grant, which funded this Town Common Design Project, the town of Warren had a distinction of having 56% of their population as low to moderate income. So the Community Development Block Grant Program, their national objective, and all the projects we've done throughout the town using CDBG predominantly serve a low to moderate income population. So in most instances, I would go up and down a street and survey the residents, and that's how we'd fund a lot of the street projects. But for the Town Common project, we were able to use census data at the time, which said that 56% of the town of Warren was low to moderate income. In other words, the majority of the population. But since we wrote the grant, things changed. And they're using new census data, which miraculously says that Warren went from 56% low to moderate income to 36%. So although we've got the Town Common Design Project funded, we might not be able to use CDBG funds to actually pursue construction funds. But there are other sources. Fortunately, the town recently completed an open space plan, which formally addressed the issues of the town common and some of the concerns there. And so there are other sources that the town will be eligible in the pursuit of actual construction funds. So, John, did you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I do not.
All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce our consulting design engineer, or landscape architect, or, yep, from Weston and Sampson Engineers, Farah.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna try to keep this less informal, because we actually want to engage in conversation as this process continues.
So I would open up the floor for open discussion, so you don't have to keep on calling up people and giving them permission.
So at this time, we're gonna open the floor for discussion, so that way you don't have to direct to me, just, you know, to go directly to the architect.
They still have to direct you.
Okay?
Well, but not formally, kind of.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just, the mic can be taken off of the pedestal there and just held, just for the listening audience at home.
So to give it out to the
Right.
audience.
Okay.
Got it.
And I will say that Jim reminded us earlier that it is in the intent that John and Shannon and Farah actually work with a smaller appointed committee. So John is gonna have discussions with the Board of Selectmen and Mr. Ferrera to see if we could actually formalize a working committee, which then can meet periodically in a less formal setting to have more discussions about the design as it advances, okay?
Yeah.
So thank
Or,
you.
I mean, do you want to stay up
Sure,
with me and
sure.
we can tag team? I mean, I guess I'm really excited to be here tonight. I'm quite excited about this project. I know it was a long time coming in terms of getting the funding and looking at the site, and also, you know, understanding that there's some sensitivity around the historic elements of the site and the history behind it. And I know you gathered some material that, you know, I'll be reading through, and I'm sure everybody else in the room is excited to kind of read through that and take it into consideration. I think I have an aerial image of the site. That's what I brought here today, and I really wanted to just open it up for discussion and have a really robust conversation around what people would like to see there and how we should use the funding that, you know, or future funding that will work with the town to hopefully get. So, I don't know, John, if you have anything else, but.
If you want to just run through the tasks that are included as part of the program, just kind of, I guess.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely, that makes sense. Do you wanna-
I'll let you.
Oh, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect,
Go through the
yeah.
tasks, yeah.
So,
CMRPC developed a task, and we, working with the committee, the Community Development Advisory Committee, John issued on behalf of the town a request for proposals, okay, which outlined a series of tasks and goals. And Weston and Sampson was graded by the Community Development Advisory Committee and deemed qualifying, competent. Well, in essence, they submitted the best proposal to get the design project, so.
yeah, so I guess the first task would be a kickoff meeting. Tonight would be one of those, you know, that's kind of the purpose of tonight, but other meetings. And we've hired a sub-consultant to do a survey, a site survey. I forget when they were supposed to be out at the site. It might have been this week, but definitely by mid-January, we will have their survey. And that survey is what we would use to then design and use it for grading and actually truing up the design and building the construction drawings.
Do they include property survey as well?
It will, yeah.
So as some of you know, the town common, which I think most of you do, some of the property lines aren't necessarily clear. As an example, there's a line that runs right through the middle of that parking area down there, and that line presumably, we think, separates the property that's owned by the people that own the present depot and what the town owns as part of the park. And also, what is the exact line between CSX and the park? And so we'd like to clarify exactly what these lines of ownership are, which will in turn help the consultant with their design work.
And so that would be phase B is basically the site survey as well as my team coming out to the site, walking it, and thinking through the ideas that we hear tonight to develop the concept and the plan alternatives, which is phase C. So that's the third phase of work. We would develop a couple of concepts and come back to the town for a public engagement session. And we would present those concepts and hear feedback and incorporate that feedback into the plan. And then we would come up with the final concept and the design development drawings, which is the end of this phase of work, and then the town would look into how to get funding for that project. And obviously, part of our final design, we would develop a cost estimate, which would help take that process through to the next steps.
Does anyone have any comments or questions at the moment? So I guess along the way, the consultant's got to meet with different people. What are the goals here? What are we trying to do? What is the objective? Is this economic development driven? Are we trying to bring people to the common? Are we trying to get the common used more? If so, what kind of activities do we want to have at the common? What does it make sense? What is there room for? How can it be reconfigured and redesigned to accommodate the things that you want to see at the town common? Is it a farmer's market? Is it concerts? Is it just relaxation and just sitting on a bench and just taking it easy? What is it that the town wants? What do they want to see used there? So I imagine the design is going to be goal driven to what the uses are.
So I think maybe that's where we start, is to hear what are the uses that people would like to see here. Because when I hear a use like the farmer's market, I immediately have a whole list of things that can be done, and they can be done artfully and while respecting the historic, elements within the site. Yeah, please.
So I'm Sue Ramsey. I am the chairman of the Parks Department, and I'm, speaking from being on the Parks Department a long time. Currently, the grading of the common is not great. It's not really flat. There's a lot of roots. So anything that we hold on the common, it's not ideal in that respect. The gazebo is small. It is. We would love to be able to put concerts there again, but we found that we could only put small bands in there. The acoustics, it doesn't even kind of face the right way, so people couldn't see into the bandstand all that well. Parking is a huge issue.
They perform off of the gazebo presently?
We don't even use it. We do all of our concerts down at Dean Park because we have a much bigger, better space. We have bathrooms. We have no bathrooms down there. So if we want to hold something,
There
it's
have been past musical events though, yes, no?
a long time ago. But people weren't attending that well. I think parking is always a concern downtown. A lot of people do walk their dogs down there, so I think people do like to walk down there. We do, but we would like to see the ability to hold more events. I would personally, I grew up in town, I'd like to see the integrity of, the same sort of style of gazebo if we built something different, that it kind of holds that same character. I know that Chris sent me some modern things, and I thought that just doesn't fit here. So I'd like to see the integrity of the quaint little New England town feel still, but I'd like it to be more user friendly. I just think that we don't use it because it doesn't really lend itself to. We just had an event on the Common. We held most of it down by the gazebo because that's the flattest part. It grades up. We didn't really, there's a lot of trees, so there's not a lot of real big open space, so to speak, like if you were to do something, I don't know, that would involve needing, needing some, not having to dodge trees. But that's kind of where I think we stand right now.
Yeah. How's the tree health, generally speaking?
I'm no
You
tree
get the
expert.
tree warden right there.
Mr. Olson, the tree warden.
Hi, Jeremy Olson, Warrentown Tree Warden. I'm also on the Community Development Advisory Committee. We've been talking about this project for a few years, and it's really finally coming around. Obviously, now we're starting the kickoff for the design, which is really exciting. Trees in general there are very well aged. There's a lot of die-off in them, but that is natural. Some of them could just be pruned out and they would become a lot healthier, give them a lot more space to grow. Definitely there's a handful in the middle that just need to be removed. There is definitely some die-off disease in those, and the existing trees around it would do a lot better if you thinned them out. Plus it would create the space we're looking for events. Yeah, smooth, flat area would be key. I mean, definitely we want a portion of this common to be completely usable for everyone. Whether it's your grandmother or your little toddler running around, you want a space that everybody can utilize and feel comfortable, maneuvering through that space. I mean, something I've always kind of envisioned as I look through there is obviously some walking paths. Whatever the material be, whether they be an old brick path with maybe some like old period lighting that match maybe the lights on the bridge and like kind of reflects what downtown already is, but brings that character, maybe some nice benches. We already have nice benches, but let's maybe some new ones, possibly some gardens, some flower gardens in between, places people can walk through flower gardens and make it kind of that environmental space where you get to, maybe we do a thing where we can get the community involved to landscape each garden individually, and for each year maybe they start fresh. I mean, there's a lot of options I see for future events, and just really making that space, kind of opening it up so when you come through town, it looks inviting. It looks warm. It looks like a space like, wow, that's really pretty. I want to stop there. And yes, if there's an activity going on right now, the issue is parking. We had a very large event, the tree lighting. It worked out amazing. We actually had to shuttle people in from outside. We had our local bus company helped us with that, shuttling people in from outside parking areas. I mean, again, we were able to close off around the monument, so we were able to kind of cut traffic and keep traffic going just on Main Street and blocked off around the monument, so it allowed people to safely maneuver through that area without having to dodge cars. I mean, obviously that's not a possibility. That's Route 19. You have to make sure traffic flows through good. So we can't steal away from the traffic flow to get parking. And then I don't think we have such a small green space. That's why it's very difficult to steal from the green space to create parking there either. So obviously we're up against it with parking. It's a limited space. Again, it's a slope going from left to right in that photo. Obviously west to east, you climb a hill as you come up to the narrow part of the common. And to whether we do like terraces in order or maybe some retaining walls, so to better change that transition where it's just not a slope, maybe we'll have to do a couple of retaining walls so we terrace it going up. I mean, it's options. There's different things you can do, and then maybe you have the bandstand or the gazebo up on an elevated space, and then everybody has a big flat area below them, so they're performing above you already. So the gazebo height isn't really a key because they're already above. You're already looking down, and nobody's blocking your view to whatever you're seeing or hearing. I mean, there's a million options, and I'm excited. Hopefully, we can come up with a lot of good things here. So.
I just want to say that the upper part of the common is very ill-used. It doesn't get used at all. We probably use looking on that part, maybe like the bottom third there that you just pointed to. Yeah, just toward the gazebo, just maybe like a third, I'd say, gets really used. Would you say so, Jess?
Yeah.
Certainly under current topography.
Right, that's
that
what
upper part is not very functional.
Not at all.
It's not saying that it couldn't be made to be functional.
Right.
I think Derek had a concept that did include some parking up toward that area.
if
What,
you were
maybe,
gonna do
like,
that.
maybe a dozen spaces, perhaps, maybe?
Yeah, it was a double decker with 6 to 8 cars on each side.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were gonna lose any space, the narrow end is where you would wanna lose it.
Correct, I agree.
Anybody else?
I'd like to say a few things. I actually agree a lot with Jeremy Olson. One of the things that we'd really like to have there is, we had a very large Christmas event this year. Probably more people have attended it this year than in a long time, and it's been getting bigger and bigger each year as word's getting out, because it's getting more and more popular. And they're doing a great job with it, so people want to come to it. Something else we'd like to see is farmers markets, and that's something that people keep on asking over and over for is, let's do farmers markets, let's do something local in town, maybe on a weekend here, once a month or something. We don't have the space to do that. We have Dean Park, we could do it, but Dean Park's kind of off the grid. It's not the center of town where the businesses are, and to have the businesses profit from it and benefit from something like that, we need to have it in the center of town. So that's why the center of town common is very vital to us right now. The parking is a big issue. Even when we came, because we came to the Christmas event, it was very difficult to find parking. And, there are a lot of people looking. I could see cars looking like, oh, can I go up that road? And, trying to look for it. So that's something we have to deal with. But one of the things we need to address is ADA accessibility. And that can be done with walking paths. I really agree with like a brick walking path going through. And we've preserved the lights from the bridge. Historical has those to reutilize. By putting LED fixtures in and use them along a path like that. We only have 4 lights, so it can't go very long, but they are a part of our history. They've been here, from when the bridge was there. But having that walking path would be very nice to have through there, along with utilizing the lights. And we do have to thin out some of the trees.
Yeah. Tell me more about the lights.
As far as what? They came off the old bridge.
Okay.
By the fire department next to the town
Okay.
hall.
Yeah.
We have 4 of them.
So they're 1938 period,
Yeah.
I believe. Was the last time the bridge had to be reconfigured, reconstructed, I'd say, because of the hurricane flooding.
Mrs. Buck, do you want to just identify yourself?
Yeah.
Or-
I'm trying to get a cough drop here.
I'm sorry.
So, first things first here. That's the thing, I can't open it. I wish I had brought a picture of them, but there is a picture in a town report 1 or 2 years ago. In the Historical Commission section, you'll find a picture of one of those lamps. They were put on the bridge when they rebuilt it after the 1938 hurricane and flood. So, yes, we had made a point of asking for them to be saved. Is it really on?
Yes,
Yes.
you don't hear yourself.
Yes.
That's
All
just,
right.
That's just going to the
All right.
TV.
And I kept up contact with the engineers of the bridge project to make sure that they didn't forget us, so that they would be saved for a project on the common. That'd be a great idea.
Anything else you want to say?
Just identify yourself, Mrs. Buck, for the.
I'm Sylvia Buck of the Historical Commission.
Thank you.
Like Sue, I've been on it forever and ever. It seems like her volunteering on the Park Commission.
Thank you.
So I'd like to shake things up a little.
Sure.
I mean, this project is probably gonna be loaded with some controversies and people that don't agree on things. Like, one of the things that parking, we all agree parking's an issue. one of the things that Jeremy and I had talked about with another engineer was the idea of right along the railroad track is developing some sort of one-way road. Now, it could be stone dust with bollards and everything that's just opens and closes just for events, say. But like a one-way path that follows the rail line and then exits out on Main Street. So people with certain events could come and park and drop things off and things, when things aren't active, it could be closed off with bollard posts or whatever and be a lit stone dust trail that people can walk along. That's an idea. Some may think it's taking away from park space, but I think it enhances it. That's just a personal opinion.
So somebody spoke to me about a walking trail, but that's not a walking trail, that's a wide, 30-foot wide path for vehicles you're talking about.
Yes,
That's a little bit different.
yes. It would be different than, say, a 6-foot wide walking path.
Yeah.
It would be used for parking and walking, and closed off, and opened
I
up.
think removing
Yeah.
that would cause too much loss of green space.
If you look at it now, it's not even used.
Yeah, that's the big thing with that is that space along the fence, along the railroad tracks, is virtually never used. Where all our events are, 20, 30, 40 feet into the park from there. So, I mean, for the tree lighting, I use that space to stack snow. So when I cleared the common for people that not have to tramp through the snow, I mean, so again, I think if you ran that roadway right up against the fence, and we're not talking 30 feet because it's a one-way path with maybe parallel parking on one side. So then it actually only needs to be 20 feet wide. So, and it doesn't have to look like a road. It can look in the period. We could have cobblestones along it. We could do stone dust. You can do gravel of some other nature. I mean, there's a lot of different options you could do to actually make that look like it belongs there. I mean, again, it's hard to envision it because we've never seen it.
You'd have to do quite a bit of grading up near the point there.
Oh, absolutely. There'd be a lot of grading involved. But I think anything we do to try and utilize the point where it narrows, it's going to involve a lot of grading because that is a steep area.
And it would exit right up near the corner.
It would have to exit somewhere near the bridge. It wouldn't be right up against it, but somewhere in that vicinity. So again, we'd have to see how it looks as far as traffic coming in and out. Traffic coming over the bridge, can they see the cars trying to pull out? Obviously, visibility is a big thing. There's a lot of things that have to go into it if that was to work. But you can't eliminate that idea until you see it, because it might actually look really neat when you actually see it come to fruition. But again, that's what you can't be limited in what our view is here. Every option is a good option until we put it on paper and say, no, I don't like that feel. I think we lose what we're trying to hold on to if we go in that direction. But until you see it, you can't just say no, because you don't realize maybe you don't have the vision that somebody else does. And they can create something that you're going to see and go, wow, I had no clue it could look like that. That is so neat. So I just say, please, everybody, have an open mind, because no matter what ideas we come up with, this is not the end game. So we're going to work towards the end game, but it takes a lot of, there's a lot of failures to success. So again, we have to fail with our ideas before we find that success. So I would say, don't criticize anybody for their idea. Hey, everybody has a different view of what they want. And that was a big part of when I was asked as part of this group to put together a team of people to come up with an idea. A big part of me wanted every different angle from the town. I wanted people that have lived in this town forever, whose family has been here before them and before them. And I wanted people that are new to this area and have new vision and come from different places. And maybe they have amazing things in those places that they want to bring to our town. And because this was their town now. They've come here. They want to make this home. So obviously, we want them to feel welcome, feel invited, and have a comfortable, awesome place to go and hang out and have fun. So,
Thank you, Jeremy.
Very well said.
I just want to, I want to let Mr. Buck say something.
You
Go
want to
ahead.
respond to his? comment?
Just go ahead, go ahead.
In the late 1970s or early 80s, I know that seems like medieval times to some of you, the State Highway Department was going to reconfigure the road, and they wanted to straighten out that curve as you come from the east to downtown. Their plan was to take about 2/3 of the common. Now, those who are in the parks and recreation and common concerns really fought that hard. That's not a good thing to lose 2/3 of your common. So I'm kind of on that edge of being very nervous about any kind of loss of grassy area. We've been through this. It took a year to make a compromise. There was some common lost when they did rearrange the road a little bit, but it wasn't 2/3. So that's where I'm coming from. Been there, done that. Don't want to see disaster happen.
I don't want to
Worked
see
ha-
pavement in that
Right.
common either.
Worked hard to keep that grass.
So, thank you to both. I just want to say, as a former architect, I'm telling you, we are very fortunate to have this opportunity to bring a storm of ideas for this area that we highly use and need. We all can, bring something to the table. That way, they will come up with a big matrix. It's better to say, oh, we look at all these things, instead of at the end come and say, did you look at this? So there are gonna be, all these options. You're gonna have pros and cons for each, how much it costs, how much it is, which is better for activities for the park, which is better for the environment, etc. Anything. We're gonna try to look at all the possibilities, that we have a beautiful, green area that we wanna make good use of it. And this is our chance. So any good or bad ideas, we're just gonna lay it down on the table, we're gonna look at everything, and, at the end, we're gonna have a great plan for that.
Okay, I want to broach the other point of contention. Okay, we all know that the train depot is privately owned, okay? But on this aerial, you can actually see what I was telling you about the division or separation of property. We believe it's this line drawn right through it. It's just a painted line that says, well, this side of the line is owned by the depot, and this side of the line is owned by the park and the town. Well, fortunately, through some sort of mutual cooperation, I guess, they've allowed people to park there. But we don't know that relationship will always exist. So if the depot cannot be had or obtained by the town, perhaps the alternative is to enter into some sort of negotiation with a future owner to get some sort of formalized agreement of parking that not only benefits the town, but also any future owner of the depot. I know these relationships occur, they do them in other cities and towns, but somehow, if other parking cannot be arranged in other places of the park, which might be desired by many, this has to be looked as some sort of formalized approach through some sort of agreement between the town and
From our understanding right now is, we don't know if there's even a right-of-way for the train station to have access to their parking spots.
Well, that's a good
Without
negotiation
going
point for
through,
the town.
without going through town property,
Right,
so.
that's a good point.
So, they
So
can't even
this
get to their
future
parking
owner,
spots.
Whatever owner there is now, they actually have to go through town property to access their property. So, great point, Mr.
Yeah, the property line of that building is actually the building.
In fact, speaking historically, I was in to a meeting at Massachusetts Historical Commission when they were examining a nomination for a National Register for the Federated Church, I believe it was. Somebody on the commission of which, for this big meeting of approving the National Register nomination, there's about 20 or 25 people, and somebody on the commission or the meeting group said, well, I don't know if we should even consider talking to you because you've already chopped off some of the common. Well, that was kind of a surprise to me because it happened in 1898 and I wasn't around. You might think so, but I wasn't. But at any rate, this road, which goes under the underpass, used to come straight across the tracks at grade level, and that road was cut right through and chopped off the common. So it keeps getting smaller and smaller because somebody doesn't speak up, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
So my question is, why can't we take that chunk back? That road, and have it a two-way road, going out the one side to the left of the monument versus,
Like we used to, right?
right, take that chunk back, give it back to the town for recreational use. Because do we need to have to go around the monument?
What do you think about the traffic? Do you think that improves the traffic?
I don't find it to be any different.
Who's a
Just a
traffic
thought.
engineer?
Yeah,
here?
we'd have to look into that.
The only issue with that might be the width of that right-of-way, because is there enough space to have traffic coming in both directions in that intersection to the west of the monument? Because actually, that was one of my thoughts when this was all being built, was, okay, this is great, we just lost half of our parking for the common,
Right.
and it was used as a cut-through, but it wasn't the real main road. And then they narrowed up the road to the west of the common and opened up the road to the right much wider. So again, you have two turning lanes, which is why they wanted that wider space to the right of it. It was a young engineer, Mass DOT engineer, that came up with this design, and nobody from the town disputed it, and that's why it happened. They originally had that little, we called it the fire pit in the middle, which I removed as soon as I got in charge of the highway department. I would love to put the traffic back to the left. I can't, again, we'd have to go through Mass DOT to make sure there was enough space to do it. Unfortunately, because it narrows up so much, I mean, might even involve a traffic light, which is what we don't want at all. So again, the design is old enough, we've owned it long enough, we can change it. Mass DOT would allow us to change it because it's been enough years since we've taken ownership. But again, you're gonna have to involve a traffic study. They're gonna have to figure out the dimensions, if they can move and shift the road, and then we have to come up with funding to pay for it,
And the
which is
village-
expensive.
The village center is under the jurisdiction of the town.
Yes, we own it. We do own that. Even though it is Route 67 and Route 19, the town actually owns that
Now,
footprint.
What about that little space that we have in front of the gas station over to the left? Could we widen over that way a little
That's
more?
what we'd have to find out.
Push over
if
that way?
That's what I would like to
And
do.
have two lanes?
Yeah. The issue
Because then
is
that would give us a lot of
the
space.
gas station property line creeps out on that corner. So you would think you can cut into that, but you would actually have to cross the corner of the gas station property to utilize that space. And that would be, I know that's my one concern. You'd have to find the exact mark where their property stops and ours starts, so.
As you all can see, there are hundreds of things that we can go around and spin our heads. I can throw you a curve to that. Well, we could use that as a one-way, use Parkview the other way.
And widen Park View, exactly. That'd be,
So
that's something
that's-
I really want.
We, there's a lot of possibilities, that we can do, and that's the purpose of this. What are our next steps from here?
Well, I think maybe we should solicit, I thought we had a committee, but we should formalize it, as Mr. Ferraro was saying, So we did, the Community Development Advisory Committee did have several names. Of course, it would involve the park commissioner, you know, the highway, and certain key individuals as part of this committee. But as Jeremy was saying, we also like to get input from the community at large, from different sectors of the community. So
Yeah, no, we
if we'd
already
like
had a
to
committee.
take
So
a,
the committee would have to be voted on by the Board of Selectmen.
It
So the
was.
names
But
would-
there was already a committee, right?
Yes,
Who-
we
what-
already voted on a committee, and it's in my minutes, I just read it the other day.
Okay, well, who, I
I
don't know
don't
who's
know,
on.
I'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
all right, certainly it's Miss Ramsey, I think Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Was Miss Buck.
Buck is on it, yes.
Yep,
And
Miss
I
Buck's on
think
there.
Mr.
David Shepherd
Shepherd,
is on it,
Yeah.
yep.
you know, and CMRPC, and
Rich
Rich
Ihacker was
Ihacker.
on it.
yeah. So, all right, so
Yeah,
we
you're on it.
believe we have a committee, and so
I made sure
that
you
would be
were on
far as goal is to
I
sit
told you.
and have a series of meetings with this committee to really
very
flush
important.
things out, and of course, she'll do investigation on her own as well.
So do you want to take a vote on reaffirming the committee?
We would have to put it on the agenda, but if it's already been voted on, we don't need to
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah.
It has been.
All right.
It was on a meeting agenda?
It was on a meeting
Okay.
agenda, and in fact, I think we even did all the swearing in, if I remember correctly.
I didn't get
I
any
didn't do
notice.
that, no, I didn't swear. Yes,
All right, maybe you didn't swear
I
in.
didn't get any
It's on
notice.
the agenda,
No.
though, I just read
Okay, as
it.
long as it's on the agenda, then they should have to be sworn in.
Let's look at it, because I just remember they used, guy said, oh, we wrote you in. So,
Gotta make up a little
and that's about it.
certificate thing.
All right, so we'll revisit with Karen and
And
Jim,
maybe there are more people who wanna participate.
Yeah,
perhaps.
The bigger the community, the better.
You know, just because there's a committee, that doesn't preclude anyone from sitting in on a meeting.
yeah, the committee would be open to any guests that wanna come and join us at any of our meetings, for sure.
So my job tonight here was sort of to push the bear a little bit. I know we've only got a few more minutes. So we talked about parking, we know that's an issue. We talked about trees, topography, properties. How about restrooms? Okay.
That's a difficult.
How do they work now? Do they work well? Does people,
We don't have it.
There are none.
There are.
There are none potties.
so there's porta potties, so do those
We don't-
function well?
We don't have them anymore because we have people sleeping in them at
Yeah.
one point, so we do not put them down there anymore.
Yeah.
So the event, like the recent event we just had, luckily it was involving area businesses, so several of the businesses allow people to use the bathroom, but if we were to hold a concert, that wouldn't be the case. Or a movie night, or whatever, we would either have to rent something for the weekend, but we stopped doing it because it was a problem.
How would the town feel about some sort of structure being built for that purpose?
A small structure just for a bathroom? I think
And
we
storage?
have to look at that option. I mean, obviously, where you would put that space-wise
Yeah.
is obviously everyone's concern.
I can only speak for me, I can't speak for, Jesse's on the committee as well, but, I would also worry about, security, because we already have people that, you know, they destroy things on the gazebo. Now we find nip bottles sometimes. I mean, so there's things happening down there, I would just worry about destruction, even though it's in a centrally located place. It happens.
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of work from here on. I think it's a beautiful project for the residents, for all of us. And I hope we can just move forward, and I will follow up with you guys to see when is the, how to get those meetings with the committee. But for now, I wanna make a pause, and I'm gonna turn the floor into David, because he has something very special to announce.
So-
David, please.
First of all, Mr. Dumpy, come on up here, please. So, you've been a valuable member of our town and our community for years. Stop looking. You've done so much for our town, and we consider you, a permanent resident of our town, okay? You know the town loves you.
De facto Warren citizen?
Yeah. I think we have that authority. I don't believe. You got it. De facto warrant citizen. But we really appreciate everything you've done for our community over the years of your dedication, and you've done so much. It's hard for us to thank you for everything you have done. So the town would like to present you
with the key to the town of Warren. Presented to Mr. Chris
You guys know I love this town, I really appreciate this town, and I see nothing but good things moving forward. You've got some great people here, you've got some great history, you've got a lot of good things going for you, so I'm happy to turn over the reins to my successors, John and Shannon at CMRPC, but they haven't kicked me out the door just yet. I think I'm gonna help you guys with maybe one more application anyways, and maybe be a little bit involved in this committee as things move forward. But I thank you. I really appreciate this town, and I really appreciate the gesture. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Nice.
Thank you very much for the kickoff meeting. I'll allow any final comments or anything you want to say, or anybody who wanted to say something and couldn't say it. We're good?
I'll just quickly say from my perspective.
We need the mic.
Mike,
Mike.
Yeah.
you gotta get on mic, John.
Yeah, no, I just really quickly wanted to make sure, from our point of view, being that we're or I'll speak we, me, from CMRPC, the outsiders, is there anything that anyone wants to make sure that we know going into this that we wouldn't know, being an outsider? Something to consider, whether it's personal or just general?
I just wanna throw out, and I don't know if you know anything about this, but I believe there's a time capsule
Yes, there is.
at the gazebo, so I don't know all of the logistics of it.
It's actually due to be opened
Soon,
on our
right.
groundbreaking of this, hopefully. So when we do groundbreaking of renovating the common, that will actually be open in the park, the time capsule. At least that's what we're looking at doing. So we'll look at what the past has given us and move forward with the new.
Awesome. And I look forward to working with you guys on this project, so.
Sue mentioned something earlier about a structure that probably wasn't in character, and I agree, you know. First of all, I want to say I love gazebos. I think they're the essence of a New England town common. You go through any town, they have a gazebo, and they look beautiful. And I'd hate to see, if that one has to go, I'd like to see another one in its place. But I do also think there's room for some other structure that can perform as a staging area and maybe possibly storage and restrooms. So, something that remains in the character of the town common. So I just want to say that.
One thing I'd like to see definitely, and whatever the plans are done, is the preservation of the fountain that's there.
Yes.
There's a fountain that was dedicated a long time ago, and we would like to preserve that and possibly restore it so it works again.
That's great. No way.
Yeah, great. I mean, I'll just say thank you, everybody, for sharing your thoughts, and I look forward to working with everybody. This is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Close the meeting?
Yeah, we're gonna have to close this one to open up our next one, but I would ask for any final comments.
Before we close the meeting, anybody in the room that you want to say something or add? If not, we'll proceed to close the meeting. Have a motion, please.
Okay, I'll do a motion to close the motion to adjourn.
Second that, all in favor?
David Dufresne, aye?
Derek Bailey's aye.
We are